they do today. There wouldn't be any threats. You wouldn't have to have bars on your window to maintain things. And another thing is we really don't need ownership. We would surpass the need for ownership, because when you think of it, you have to store all these things, you have to maintain all these things, you have to have insurance. What you want is access to things when you want them. You think today in terms of wanting to get money, to get a job, to buy the things you need. It's really not the jobs or the money that we need. It's access to the necessities of life.
Yeah.
We want to make that available to all people.
And how will we go about doing that in terms of resources then? Do you believe that there is enough resources on Earth to produce all the things that people desire, or is it just about how we produce them, or maybe even with what materials that we produce the things that we desire as human beings?
Well, for example, if you do a survey first of a given state, how much arable land do you have? How much water do you have available? Then you design your cities to fit in with the carrying capacity of the environment, not Fresco's opinion or some political group. What you have to do is a survey of the Earth's resources, its transportation, its industrial plants, and the carrying capacity of the Earth. If you maintain a population in accordance with the carrying capacity of the Earth's environment, then you can maintain a global civilization. You cannot do it unless you use scientific methods of evaluation, not political methods. Politicians, like I said before, know nothing about how to solve problems. They don't even know how to bridge the difference between nations. They use armament and conflict to take resources. If you still don't understand me, the United States of America took the land from the Indians. The Indians didn't invite us out there to come and live there. We killed lots of Indians. We starved thousands of buffalo to make it difficult for the Indians. Then we took from Mexico whatever land we wanted and California. We took things away from other people. This is how all nations work. They are all thieves. They're called conquerors, of course, when they win.
Absolutely. That's the case of history. People move, people war, nations are born, they're expanded into empires, etc. And in terms of that, then, what, if I put it this way, there's talk now of obviously uniting a lot of nations. You guys are currently aware of that because you're in the European Union, of course. This is many different countries coming together. Over in America, it's termed the North American Union and things like that. The question there, I guess, is that a step in the right direction, do you guys think? Or do you fear that this is also a plot or a scheme by the same corrupt politicians and people to actually enslave people furthermore to their system? What do you think about that?
Well, I think that system will not work. I think Roxanne wants to say something about it.
Yes.
Yeah, well, this is really, when we talk about globalization, this is not the type of globalization that we're referring to. What's happening today is globalizations where corporations try and manipulate people on a massive scale and you're subservient to them. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about raising people to their highest potential, using resources for the benefit of people and the environment. Today, it's for the benefit of wealth, property, and power. The motives are very different today with why people do things. So it's the marketplace that's dictating the globalization today, and this is not what we advocate. It will not bring people to what we're advocating.
To me, it feels like it goes further away from that, although on the surface it might seem that we're getting closer to it. On one hand, and that is one of the problematic things here, I guess, in one sense as well, then, that can you create a global society in that sense, or a global world order that actually is benevolent? Because how can it be prevented, if I put it that way, that some of these corrupt people, politicians, etc., won't try to get in charge of whatever system that you replace the current with? That is obviously a big problem in this, right?
Well, not really, because once the monetary system fails, like in U.S., a lot of the banks have failed, and Obama gave money to those people that created the problem in the first place. He gave public funds that would feed the poor, retirement funds. He gave that to the banks and the people that created the problem. That tells you who he was working for.
Yes.
Actually, there's no... Politicians lie continuously. The Republicans lie about the Democrats lie about the Republicans. And a lot of people think that the Venus Project is communism. It has nothing in common with communism. Communism is not radical enough. Communism uses money, banks, social stratification, and it also has private ownership. It has armies, navies, prisons, police. We don't have any of those things. We don't even have government, except we have a government that's concerned with the people. If a new machine comes into factories, we don't downsize. We shorten the workday, so you only work 4 hours a day, maybe 3 days a week, and you have access to boats, sailboats, everything, but you don't own anything anymore. It's the ownership concept which is obsolete. What you really want is access to things. You want access to sailboats without waiting, without getting in line, without filling out any forms, without appealing to Fresco. We make things available to people. Everything is available to everybody, and we have more than enough resources. If you have difficulty understanding that, there are over 1 million automobiles a day sitting 8 hours a day in front of a plant where people work. Those cars would be in constant use. They wouldn't be standing around. You have freight cars today in freight stations filled, hoping that someday we'll have a need to fill those cars and business will pick up. You have hundreds of trucks sitting around idle. So the future will utilize all the resources. Even today, you have container ships where they remove one container at a time. The ship is over $1 billion. It's tied up for days unloading the containers. What we would do is float the whole container section off the ship so that that ship becomes 3 times service rendering as it is today. The intelligent use of the Earth's resources will provide for all human needs, and we have more than enough resources to take good care of every person on Earth.
We don't have enough resources if we continue the way we're doing today. We're plundering the planet. Today, all we are consumers in this system. You have to continuously buy to keep the economic system going. So that's really evident in the fashion industry. You change the color for these 3 months, and then it's a different color for the next 3 months. You add a fin on the car so you can continuously sell and have the updated style for that year. It's a tremendous waste of energy. Even how they educate people, the professions in this system are tremendously wasteful, such as advertising, banking. It's just manipulation of paperwork, doing nothing, contributing nothing. These are parasitic professions that they have in this system that contribute nothing. Again, such as law and banking and advertising and salespeople. Just think of how many resources you would save if you cut out the advertising industry alone.
I want to talk more about the technology aspect per se, as well, what you mentioned there, Jacque, about the transportation of the ships and so forth. I've seen some of these diagrams and seen some of the work that you put together, which is, I really like that. I want to get into that a little bit later. But there's a few more questions I want to fire off here to you in the first hour before we go there. And it seems that the more attention that you guys get also as well, there's also a lot of people that seem to be, I guess in one way, kind of scared of the ideas that you're presenting and advocating. And it seems to be various fears from various different points from the camp, the different camps out there, so to speak. But what do you think that this could be? Is it simply when you're presenting things and talk about efficiency and structure, people might fear that, then it won't be any choice anymore or artistic expression left? Or where do you think the fear comes from in terms of some of the ideas here, Jacque or Roxanne?
That comes from projecting their own values into the Venus Project, not looking it up on the website, thevenusproject.com. We have thousands of questions and answers. We have answers to almost any question a person might ask. Now, their fear is based on their own projections of what they think the Venus